Yo, what is up, everyone? Your host, Game Pizza Boy, host of Pizza Party. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having a fantastic rest of your day today, and welcome back to another Marvel Rivals video where I go through all things Marvel Rivals content, but I also do other forms of gaming too, so definitely always keep your eyes peeled for any more of that stuff. And today I wanted to do another hero breakdown video since obviously season 2 of Marvel Rivals just came out, so more heroes are starting to rock and roll right now, and I want to get through more of this as possible and just keep discussing my thoughts on each hero as I get a chance to play a few of them a little bit. And I did my last one, which I remember was with the Human Torch, Johnny Storm, and I had a great time discussing him because I really enjoyed playing as him before. And now I want to discuss with probably personally one of my favorite tanks lately, The Thing. I've been having way too much fun playing as The Thing. It's been really fun playing as him a lot, and he's a very easy hero to play a lot, of course, for anyone who wants to kind of learn some tank little abilities. So he's definitely a fun go around kind of hero basically, and I just had a great time enjoying him during season 1. I thought season 1 was a good start somewhere, and it's definitely been really enjoyable. So I wanted to just go ahead and get right into it and discuss obviously the hero breakdown video. So I hope you guys find this video helpful, and yeah, just let me know what you guys thoughts about so far about The Thing. Let me know your thoughts about him, if you guys enjoyed playing as him a lot or not. And definitely tell me if you guys have been enjoying season 1. I would love to hear your thoughts on it, of course. So let's get right into it, and let's go and have some fun discussing about The Thing for the hero breakdown video. Before we begin, of course, as always, let me remind you guys that here's how these hero breakdown videos work as I do on the channel right here. I usually do is just go through all their abilities and discuss, of course, quite a lot of their attacks, their abilities, give my thoughts on them. I also will list on the screen, of course, the entirety of the stats, so you know like what type of ability they are and what their cooldowns are and damage and etc and stuff like that. Of course, obviously do be mindful though that things do change over time as updates roll through, so some things will of course evolve, become different since the last time I might make these videos, of course. So in the future I might maybe update in the future, definitely let me know. But obviously I'll of course is just make this mostly just for the concept of just telling you what the abilities are, what their intentions are. I'll list the stats, of course, and then I'll personally just give you guys my thoughts on what I think about them, of course. So I'll be going through everything The Thing has. This includes his main attack, all his different abilities, his ultimate, even some team abilities as well, of course, so you know what to expect. So hope you guys enjoyed this, and let's go into it and discuss about The Thing. All right, let's get started right now. I'll obviously talk about each of his abilities. I'll give you the list as you'll see on screen very soon. And then I'll give you my thoughts on what I think about each different attacks, and I'll explain maybe a little bit of advice from my time playing as him, of course. If you guys also have any interesting advice you want to mention when you're playing The Thing yourself that I probably didn't mention, feel free to let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts on them for sure. I would love to hear it because it will be good feedback for all of us to learn, of course, how to play one of our favorite heroes, of course. So let's get right into it. We'll start off, of course, is his normal attack, the Rocky Jab. Of course, obviously, just like how the Hulk is like his punches, so is The Thing. The Thing doesn't have any kind of weapon. He just uses big old clobbering fist right there. The attack basically lets you be able just to rapidly punch forward. It is basically what you expect right there. The type of ability is, of course, it's a single cast spell field, so basically kind of like a nice little small field-like type of damage attack right there. You have to kind of get a little bit close right there, and anyone within a certain range of the attack, if they're right in contact with it forward of you, they'll basically take the hit right there and take some damage. The damage right now currently is about 40 damage per hit, so right now it's like that much damage at this time as I make this video, of course. And of course it has a double strike attack for its intervals where it's like 0.33 seconds between attacks and 1 second between sets of their attacks, of course. And it can go around about 4 meters for the range, so it can reach up to 4 meters before needing to. Obviously it will not hit anyone, of course, so it's a pretty short range, obviously, but that makes sense for typically those kind of attacks like the Hulk. Basically, you need to definitely have a lot of range to do stuff right there. I personally do definitely enjoy his melee attack a lot. You just basically have to make sure, importantly, is to obviously just make sure you're staying close to them, of course. His attack is pretty well handled, very well. I think just kind of get some easy good punches, stuff like that. But there is one attack in particular that is going to be really helpful a lot, especially when you're getting those hits in right there and timing it just right. So I'll be explaining it very soon. Now, my advice when playing with the Rocky Jab attack, basically, you kind of need to... Now, how to use the attack ability, I kind of just mostly say I would prefer mostly just to be, of course, very cautious when you're going in their attacks right there, and until you're at least very close to the enemy right there. You got to make sure you go really close in. It's only 4 meter range right there, and try to get a few hits right there, and then follow with a combo with another attack, which will, of course, like I said, we'll get to in just a moment. But basically, just get in there and just push into the attack a lot. Sometimes, but just be mindful though that again, and 40 damage per hit, even though you can get some hits like that, you got to be mindful though that you won't always get the hits every single time as the enemies are moving. So try to push in with the enemy team against the enemy team a lot. Push forward to them. and try to get some hits if you can, but then make sure to stay back a little bit there so you don't end up getting whammed out yourself, because there are many people who will probably come after and attack you pretty much if you're not getting healed. And obviously there's only certain so far you can get through without using your certain abilities in mind that will help protect you. And there are actually a few of those abilities that will actually assist you in getting away or kind of keep a distance, and even also giving you a little bit of a damage reduction as well. But you want to make sure you just kind of use that Rocky Jab when you're like in a close good range completely with enemy right there, and make sure you just know when to use it a lot. Something I just tend to do is just make sure I am basically attacking still no matter what as I'm going in, just so that I can still keep it up right there. And then when I'm getting to the attack right now against an enemy up front, I just really just go aiming on them like hell and just make sure I'm staying within range. There's a certain, like, you know, just certain spell field right there. It can reach far enough, so make sure you're really keeping them within your reticle as possible. Otherwise, they're going to struggle, basically have trouble trying to keep in close range with them, and you're going to have trouble trying to get some hits off them completely, and they'll just easily avoid you. So just make sure you stay within perfectly good alignment with the enemy team. Otherwise, those Rocky Jabs aren't going to hit anyone whatsoever completely. So just make sure you stay within range. Make sure you guys are getting in there right there, but only do it when you absolutely or know you can still hang in there for the fight a bit, and then get back when you have to the most. And then whenever you're about to hit them, just make sure they're staying within your reticle, both that and the range and stuff, because if you're too far off or if you're not aiming to them, your fist won't hit anything whatsoever. There's a certain range that, of course, that's far enough that your Rocky Jab will eventually hit the enemy, and there's moments where once you pass that, they just don't click and you don't deal damage to them whatsoever. Now for the next ability, this is the one that works in good combo with the Rocky Jab, and that is the Stone Haymaker ability, which is the right mouse button or whatever your button is for your controller, of course. And this basically is like a very devastating heavy blow attack. It's a similar single cast spell field type ability, basically like the Rocky Jab, but this one is quite powerful. Basically, it's like a charge up attack that could deal 90 damage right now, and it has an 8-meter range, which means you can reach out pretty far. And a special effect to it that where if you move forward about 3 meters while punching, you actually gain about 50 bonus health during skill activations too with this as well. So you gain a little bit of help with that too every time you get a hit, and you're able to still stay around much off, and you can deal some pretty massive damage. This attack is really good and good combo right there, and I just love it. It's just the massive damage you could do, and just that slam attack on them. It can really help melt down some enemies. It can help, you know, weaken up some tanks, or even also help you take out the healers very quickly too on the enemy team as well. So it's important to definitely use this whenever you can. And best of all, there's no cooldown with this ability. No cooldown at all. So this ability can be used as many times as you want. It will take a little bit after it charges up, of course. Obviously, I think it takes like a few seconds, 2-3 seconds, and then it charges up, and then unleashes the attack. But once you unleash it, that 9 damage is going to blow in on them and just destroy anything in their place. So definitely take advantage of that whenever you can, of course. Now, whenever using this ability as advice, I would recommend 2 things in mind, though, is that 1, just be mindful that even if you use this ability, it does take, again, a few seconds to charge before unleashing, so be mindful when using it. It's important to know, I think you should just try to work this in good combination with the Rocky Jab. So get a few hits, use a Stone Haymaker, get a few hits, use Stone Maker, or just use that we can, especially using it when you know an enemy team's getting weak. If they're getting close to low health, just use that Stone Haymaker, because that 90 damage could come in handy a bit as possible. Another thing, though, is that when you do use it, even though it has a little 8-meter range, it does actually slow you down normally. So it like slows you down for a little bit, kind of gives you like a reduction to your movement speed slightly while it's doing it. So a better advice you can do, I would recommend, and I've seen people do a lot, is make sure you jump just at the right moment when you're about to basically do the attack, because if you do that, it actually removes that small bit of slowdown on you. So just jump, use it, and then go for it, giving you a little boost to kind of get up forward right there, and then just do that for sure. Just remember, though, that you still need to make sure you are aiming with your enemy, because there is kind of a little bit, I think, of a lock on a bit, I think, but it's not completely a very hard unlock on that you'll just hit the enemy guaranteed. You will need to make sure you're aiming on them, otherwise your attack will just miss. So make sure you take advantage of that, of course, and just use that for sure right there. And like I said, if you move forward like 3 minutes while punching, you're going to gain that bonus health. So take advantage of that, move forward, and just do that for sure, and you'll be able to get that extra bonus health for sure. So really take advantage of that for sure to help you stay alive a little bit more as possible. I think this is definitely one of my favorite abilities with him, and on any other tank, because again, that ability right there is just so good and clean, just to really wipe on some enemies right there, and just hear the sound just punching right into enemies. It's just so dope. I love it. It's amazing. Next up is his shift ability, a Yancey Street Charge. This ability basically is kind of like a charge up attack. Basically, you continuously charge forward and you launch enemies and leaving them behind a zone at the final position where you last has to finish the attack. That usually prevents the use of mobility abilities. So Basically, it's kind of like a shoulder charge type of attack, basically. So when using it, you'll have a very full 100% movement speed boost with this, so he'll be pretty fast. It lasts for about 5 seconds until eventually auto uses the ability. When this happens though, when you're charging the enemies, if you hit them, you'll deal about 30 damage, and if you then use your ground slam attack on it, which is just after you cancel it, or if it finishes up the 5-second duration, it will immediately deal about 20 damage, and then during the mobilization zone, if anyone's standing in it, they'll get like 15 damage per second, of course, while standing on it. So there's a way to kind of get some really massive damage, of course, right there. And the spell field range of it has like a 8 meter radius of it when you do the ground slam, about 2.5 meters of a high cylindrical spell field course, so it's kind of a little more cylinder. They got to stay within that area, otherwise it's kind of very small and it's more circular basis. And the mobilization zone also is like 8 meters with a 4 meters higher cylindrical spell field, so it's quite high up when it gets to the immobilization zone, but when it does the ground slam, it's a little bit shorter on that height of the spell field, basically completely. So you have to basically kind of make sure you are obviously timing it right and know when it's a good time to just use it when enemies are all around, of course, right there. But the best part about it is, though, is that it only has a 10-second cooldown, so I would say for sure. So that means you can move faster, and now you can use it again when you can in about 10 seconds. But its special effects are also good too, because it also gives 200 bonus health during activation, so you can definitely get a little health to kind of keep you alive. And if you leave behind, it will also leave behind the zone at the final position. Like I said, that prevents the use of mobility spells. So any form of abilities that involve tons of mobility, the hero's going to be canceled out of that completely right there, and they won't be able to use it anytime soon. This ability is really helpful for getting around very easily, or just kind of getting into the objective very easily. I love it. It's very nice, and just helps push in and get into some serious cool flanking, or even also just simply just trying to keep everyone's attention towards you a lot more, and help you take out enemies with ease right there. Now, my advice when using this ability, I would recommend trying to use this as possible whenever you try to go in for the attack right there against enemies right there and trying to distract them. Sometimes I would recommend just don't go completely just using the ability all the time. I just try to move around a bit so you can get a few hits, because again, you get 30 damage for each charge of attack you do, and it will kind of distract them very easily until you're eventually ready to use up all that duration of your timer, or when he gets close, just use it, and then just go and pop it, and then you get that 20 extra damage right there on the ground slam attack, and then hopefully you can figure out and confuse them with the immobilization zone if anyone stays like on the objective, especially if you do this on the objective right there when you're playing like control, because you want to make sure, of course, that there's a good point where everyone's just like on that and dealing a lot of damage and making it quick and easy, just to kind of slow them down very easily. And it's very important definitely to use this, especially with certain mobile heroes, of course. So if you see someone in mind, you're ready to use that stuff, pop that for sure, because that range is pretty crazy when they're very close to the ground, of course. Also, be mindful though that even though you can use this ability for a lot of the damage, like I mentioned, because it deals that stuff like that, it's also probably really good. I would say you could use this for also some great escapes as well too, especially when there's no allies around you, because this ability can really get you around very quickly and very easily, just get you around and just help you push away as soon as possible if things go out of hand right there. So I would definitely recommend trying to use that too as well when you need to, but I would also recommend trying not to waste it, because again though, if you waste that ability, you're not going to have a chance to actually use that again if you need to for any enemies that might be mobile, and they could use their own mobile abilities against you very easily. So just try not to waste the Yancey Street Charge constantly. It's a 10-second cooldown, yes, but there's sometimes where you need to find some better use for it than just simply for escapes, of course. So again, my best will be my first one I mentioned, which is just to really run around the objective right there and just knock around some enemies, and then just slam that like hell when you can. And you get it, especially against supports, because if you can get supports right there, go right there and keep them from going anywhere with the damage, you can weaken them, and so the enemy team won't have no healers. Now for this next ability, the E ability is called Embattled Leap. This ability makes it where if you aim at your ally, you can press this action button to then jump towards your ally, and this will also apply a damage reduction to both you and your ally that is targeted. So it's a targeted type ability right there. It has a 3-second cooldown because you can use up a few charges. I believe it's like 2 charges if I remember though. I think it was like 2 charges or something like that. And then lasts for 10 seconds if you, of course, with a charge per use, of course. So make sure you obviously are, of course, not using it constantly too often. Just be mindful about that. It has a 20-meter range, so you can easily just jump towards an ally from that range and get them pretty easily. And it has it originally had a 30% damage reduction, but it got nerfed to like a 25% damage reduction to kind of make it not a little bit too powerful as much. But nevertheless, 25% still pretty good right there. So it will apply a 25% damage reduction to you and your ally for 3 seconds, and then afterwards, after it's gone right there, they will be weared out, and you'll go back to your normal damage reduction without any add-on on you, and you can obviously use another one again if you decide to. This ability is really helpful to keep your allies pretty safe very easily, and it's very helpful to get you out of a situation like this. I actually really have nothing much serious to say besides just it's a really nice ability for protection, damage, stuff like that too as well, and it's just overall really helpful. I think it's a really helpful ability rather to help you out for sure. And as for my advice, I would probably recommend don't waste it constantly. Again, it's like only like 2 charges of this, 2 or 3 charges I remember, or so. You really want to be very, very careful, like how much you use this, so don't waste it constantly. Use it when you absolutely are getting close to low health or something like that, when you really need to. And I would recommend, if you're aiming for your allies, use it on those that might need the most. Like if you see someone who's low health, probably use it to help them out. Another thing I would recommend also using it for is especially your supports, because if your supports are in danger, they're gonna be the ones that are gonna help you the most when they need to. So make sure you are giving them especially that, so they can stay alive a little more easily if they're in danger. So just jump to them if they seem like they're in danger, give them that damage reduction, and help them deal with any threats that are trying to kill them, of course. So take advantage of that. That's pretty much all I gotta say about Battle Elite. You just got to make sure you are really balancing on how much usage it's going with it, and also who is deserving it the most. Now on to, of course, is any passive or team abilities that the thing might have. He actually does have 2 team abilities right here and 1 passive. The first one is his passive ability called Unyielding Will, and this makes him basically immune to all launch up, knockback, and other displacing effects. So as you can guess, he's basically immune to anything that would knock back or stun an enemy too much easily right there. I think the only time he might get stunned or locked in very easily is if it's an ability that will pull him, like Root's ult, or maybe like using another Thing's ult, basically, which can stun him a bit right there. But any typical, normal launch up, knockback, or any kind of effect abilities that can do something like that, they will not affect him at all. So he's basically immune, and he'll be basically as strong as a wall that can handle it all. So it's really helpful ability. So don't be afraid when you're getting in there and someone's trying to knock you back or whatever. They are not going to be able to do anything. His team abilities, he comes with 2. One of them is, of course, the Cooperative Comrades ability, which is basically his team up with the rest of the Fantastic Four. Obviously, when in the presence of the Invisible Woman, he will have the ability to basically use a special ability that gives him some extra shield. So it lasts for 5 seconds. It has a 20-second cooldown. He gets about 5 bonus health per second and whenever he uses this, and it gives him up extra bonus health, about 100 health, of course, when it used. So it's basically like the same thing with the shields that it's given to Mr. Fantastic and the Human Torch. So it's pretty helpful, of course, and definitely take advantage of this whenever you need to use this ability. The other one is actually a similar one that the Hulk has, and it's Cosmic Fastball, and basically it's what the Hulk has with when teaming up with Wolverine. Wolverine can be curled up into a ball basically when the Thing holds him, and it gets a target ability, so they can work together, and he can throw Wolverine across and allow him to basically make a mass distance. Of course, he can go up like to 20 meters, and it has a cooldown of 3 seconds when not thrown and 15 seconds once thrown. And it's basically what you expect. It's basically a range attack that allows him to throw Wolverine, and he'll launch up and go in a distance and attack anyone, like his typical related attack where he can just kind of lunge at them, and he will attack them, lock onto them very easily when he grabs hold of somebody, and he can just go in and just go slashing on them like hell. So it's like that completely ability right you can do right there, which is pretty cool. So if you ever have that ability, just go crazy with them and just throw them, and maybe you might get some cool hits with them. I'm pretty sure everyone knows that if you played both the Hulk and the Wolverine at the same time. So there's some pretty good combos you can do with that. So take advantage of that. Maybe you'll find some pretty good fun moments with that, of course, with the Thing, just like with the Hulk. Now, last but not least is, of course, his ult. Like every hero, they come with a special ultimate, and the ultimate's called Clobberin Time. Obviously, reference to his quote, he says it's Clobberin Time. And what this ability does, it allows him to use his immense power to launch all enemies in front of him in the air. So what it does, it's kind of like a ground slam type that will cause the entire ground to kind of turn to an earthquake that will knock into enemies and will basically attack and stun them. So what it will do is that if you attack it, it's a straight line, basically, that will go about 3 meters high, 10 meters wide, and it advances about 2 meters every 0.1 seconds up to a maximum 18. Anyone who gets caught with it will get dealt by 100 damage, of course, and are stunned for 2.5 seconds. So it's kind of a nice attack to kind of get a hold of people right there, which will be very useful if you got people who are getting close to being weak and you want to attack them, of course. So it's really, 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 really helpful to get those last bit attacks on them, especially with Stone Haymaker or using the Yancey Street Charge right there and just going for the attack and just kill them very quickly right there. It also has a cost of 2,800 points, so it will take a little bit to kind of charge it up, but it's still nevertheless easy to kind of get rolling with that. This ultimate is really fun to help out, just get enemies stunned into action and deal some quick damage, and maybe you can use it to kill a lot of people very quickly, and it's really helpful so far. I really definitely think that it's a really fun ult to use, and you can get some pretty good moments out of this if you time it just right. So just keep an eye out with that, of course, and just be ready to just use that. Just be ready to get ready the time the building out. As for my advice, again, like I said, just find a good timing with that. Make sure they're all lined up pretty well. Another thing I would recommend is waiting if you know an enemy's going to be pretty weak. If their enemy's getting close to being weak as possible, take advantage of that so you can stun them in their place and then quickly fire everyone off while they're basically stunned and kill any targets in mind. Another thing I would recommend using this for, especially if there's any DPS or any supports in mind, because if they're very weak and use this, you could probably kill them with this quickly, or maybe even keep them stunned for 2.5 seconds and just wipe them out before they eventually wake up again, because that can really come in handy. Just use your Stone Haymaker and deal some extra 90 damage to them when you can. So take advantage of that and just go blasting on them like hell. It's gonna be really fun just seeing you just punch them and just go ham on them and just clobbering them all right there and just weaken them. It really is helpful, especially when you're dealing with supports and DPS right there, especially a lot. For tanks, I wouldn't probably recommend trying to be too serious with that unless you know they're getting low damage, but if they are like full HP or whatever, it's best you try to get after those DPS or supports that end up just kind of just get a little bit too close to your ult and they get themselves stunned for that reason. So take advantage of that when you can and just go ham on them as any way as possible. All right, and with that, we have covered everything about the Thing right now and all his abilities. His passive, his team abilities, his main abilities, and of course his ultimate. If I were to say so, I think he's definitely one of my personal favorite tanks right there, and I think a lot of people would definitely enjoy him too as well. And he's a fun addition to the entire roster for Marvel Rivals. So I do enjoy him. He's really awesome. I think he's great, and I think he's gonna be a fun addition. I think it's gonna be great, and I look forward to seeing hopefully more bigger tanks will enjoy him. Maybe I'll cover Emma Frost in the future, and I'll discuss about her probably someday in the future. Of course, someday I got a lot of heroes I need to cover, of course. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, guys, there you go. That's my thoughts for the entirety of the Thing and my hero breakdown. I hope you guys found this really helpful. If you guys did, hit the like button if you enjoyed it. Comment down below and tell me again, have you been enjoying the Thing, of course? Did you enjoy him during Season 1? Do you have any certain things I missed out talking about, any of his abilities or something like that I should mention right there? Feel free to let me know, of course, in the comment section below. And, of course, don't forget to subscribe. I appreciate your support, as always. It will keep the channel growing, and I can keep on making fun, good content. But thank you all so much. I'll see you guys next time for another hero breakdown video. Maybe we'll do another one next for a support in the future, of course. That I want to try to get through more, like, you know, support and DPS and tank and vice versa. So I want to try to get through as much as possible. So definitely stay tuned for that. But anyway, thank you guys for joining so much. I'm your host, Game Pizza Boy, host of the Pizza Party. Take care, and I'll talk to you guys later. Stay strong, my friends. Peace.